Hello, my name is Emma Hassel,
And I'm Lucas Oden.
and today we're joined by Phil and Elizabeth, the artists featured in the Medical Students in the Wild exhibition. The show will be on view at Urban Art Space from April 26th to May 7th. And this show features portraits of medical students in their element to showcase the human faces of future physicians. For more information about the show, please visit our website at uas.osu.edu. So, to begin, can you guys just tell us a little bit about your show? Just give us a little summary of everything going on.
So the initial concept that I wanted to start with was this idea of having a site or a space or images of my classmates and of medical students in ways that were not necessarily as medical students. So not shouting that we're studying medical school. And so I wanted to reach out and find these places where we're doing sports or hobbies or even just studying, or just places where we feel kind of that we're in our element and where we're sort of being ourselves, and to show that human side of us, to sort of point that out to other people and really to like show that we're all human and not just students and like mechanical robots studying medicine.
Yeah, so our series is 8 going on 10 portraits. So Phil is a photographer mostly, so he, along with like film and lots of other creative outlets. But so Phil took these beautiful portraits of our classmates, and then we had them printed out in black and white on canvas. So we have these pretty big, like 16 by 20 canvas prints, and then I took over. I did mostly painting as my kind of like art specialty. So I used oil paints and kind of tried a new technique with them. So I painted over the canvas photography in these like sheets of like semi-translucent oil paints, kind of like a watercolor technique, to paint color back into like the face of our students and their hobbies, to really just emphasize and really like make that highlighted in the portraits.
It's really interesting to hear. I really like how the photos represent different identities. And I'm sure both of you each have your own complex identities as medical students, as young professionals, as photographers, as painters, and most of all humans. But a lot of the general public would just see you as medical students, and your identity is mostly taken up in that aspect, we would guess. But especially due to the fact that you have an exhibition coming up, how do you feel like your identity has shifted as artists, but also has as future physicians?
Yeah, so I think you're definitely right that our identity can sometimes be absorbed by like being a medical student and the whole medical practice. I think being in the like additional identity of being an artist can really help to kind of disconnect from your job, your student life, and this like really heavy work. Sometimes can be heavy that we're doing. And so the artist side of things really helps to rejuvenate and kind of remind myself of why I'm so passionate and like have devoted so much time to studying medicine and my future career. And it reminds me of like the humanistic side of remembering that each of these patients and all these people we're taking care of really are humans with really complex lives outside of the setting that we're seeing them, maybe in a clinic or in the hospital, and that they have all these special interests and hobbies and are so just such incredible people outside of the way that we're seeing them and the diseases we're treating. So to me, the artist identity is really partnered with the medical identity, and it's an important part of keeping my medical practice like humanistic. Do you have anything to add, Phil?
I feel the same. I think in terms of identity as an artist, so actually I was voted the best artist by my class. Elizabeth is the class below me. So I think a lot of my peers and the people at the medical school also recognize me as this dual identity, artist and medical student. But I think more so I'm going to internal medicine, so is Elizabeth, and I'm thinking about primary care. And I think throughout medical school and even beyond is that I've really found that my work in art and just my passion for photography, for filmmaking, doing exhibitions like this have bring me in these spaces where I'm talking with regular people, not necessarily clinicians, And it helps me when I'm speaking with patients who are also regular people who don't have that medical knowledge, and it just improves that kind of communication skills, but also just empathy for other people in general.
Yeah, that's great. Art is really one of the best things when it comes to like humanizing and opening your view of the world. And that kind of leads into the next question about this issue of depersonalization that you mentioned in your artist statements upon entering medical school. Because most people just think of doctors as just doctors and find it difficult to see past the scrubs even outside of the hospital. Do you think that your art can be a vessel to aid in humanizing your identities?
Yeah, so I think I definitely see it that way, as we kind of just spoke about. It's helpful in humanizing your practice when you're thinking about patients and your relationship with patients, and remembering the, kind of like bigger goal of medicine is really to take care of each person as a whole person, not just a disease. But as you mentioned, medical school can be, we call it like depersonalizing. So medical education is very rigid. It can be really stressful, competitive, a lot of test scores. And so you get really removed from this idea of focusing on human skills and one-to-one interaction and relationships with your patients. And it can be isolating for a lot of students. So I think this, like having the art as another identity or a hobby can be really nice to deconnect from this like really rigid, sometimes path that medical school can put you through. And it's also a good way to connect with other classmates and say, it's okay to take a break and do a painting. It's okay to stop studying for now and go enjoy yourself and do your hobby. So it's a nice way to propagate that culture in our medical school and say, we're real people too, and we need these kind of hobbies and these ways to disconnect and really get back to ourselves and our core values.
I think if you think about medical school, there is not as much incentive to do things like this exhibition and this project. I think you're encouraged to focus on your studies, of course, and research and clinical-based volunteering. And so you have these sort of limited set of things that everyone is encouraged to do and everyone takes in part. And I think people are encouraged to not nourish other aspects of their identity or their other hobbies as much. And so I think if you continue to do that, then you start to get more and more lonely and you can feel isolated and you can feel just a little bit more burnt out and depersonalized, like we talked about before, for not addressing the parts of you that made you unique and something that was attracted to medical school in the first place.
I like what you said about opening up your own world to your hobbies and nourishing them, especially, and just bringing these two spheres, art and medicine, together. Elizabeth, I like what you said about your friends in particular and having the space allow them to, feel like it's okay to do things outside of medicine. So were you curious with like your friends and your classmates and the people you worked with in the show? What would they think about you bringing art into the medical world? And do you find that people are generally supportive of your art?
Yeah, so Ohio State, our College of Medicine actually has a really well-developed humanism and medicine student organization. And it's a pretty large program. It involves a lot of higher-level medical trainees like residents, faculty, physicians, fellows. But specifically for the medical students, there's really specific groups. Like there's a knitting group, Phil leads a photography group, I led a visual arts group. So it's a nice way to make that culture really visible and make those connections and hobbies accessible to everyone and just encourage people to say it's okay to do this in medical school. It's okay to have 3 different art hobbies, or it's okay to take time to yourself and do a painting. So I think there's on the outside, there can definitely be some like surface level pressure or like worry about, am I studying enough? What are my classmates going to think? But I think especially here at Ohio State, we have this humanism program that really allows us to have that space, like you said, to explore those things and to encourage them. We have the College of Medicine also has an annual art show, which is really nice. So they encourage students from not just the College of Medicine, but all the professional health sciences colleges, students and faculty to submit anything they've made. So any kind of art, any like poetry, literature. And so that's another nice way to kind of put out in the open all the great things you've been working on outside of your strict science classes.
And I just want to give a shout out to Dr. Linda Stone. So at the genesis of this project, she was the head of humanism in medicine, and literally without her, this project would not exist, from A, the support just emotionally, but also B, financially. In general, I think for any project, when she was, even now, it was like 90% her some involvement or support in some way. And especially with this project, that's been the case.
Dr. Stone is an incredible champion for the humanities and humanism medicine. So she developed the humanism medicine student organization, helped get that off the ground back in like 2009. And she is now retired, but is still so passionate about this. So it's amazing to have her support along the way.
That's amazing. I feel like most people definitely wouldn't expect that out of medical school. And I think it's so great that OSU has a program for you guys to create that space. Life takes many unexpected turns, and I'm sure we've all experienced things we never thought we would through our education. But on a personal level, would your past self have expected you to have your art displayed in a gallery space one day? What does this exhibition really mean to you and your past self?
Yeah, so this is huge. Do not consider myself by any means a trained artist. I took a lot of art classes in high school and loved it. But going into college, I knew I wanted to be a doctor. And so I was very focused on the science and the pre-med classes. But I found myself missing art. So I added on art history as one of my main studies. But of course, I wasn't making art, I was just studying it. And I kind of took a hiatus from art making because I felt like I was too busy. So it was such a breath of fresh air and so rejuvenating to come to medical school and find this community of students who are engaging in creative efforts and making art. But it's not something that I thought I would get back to so soon. And definitely not something I thought I would be able to partner with another student and be able to display our work in so many wonderful opportunities. So it is such a thrill to have this exhibit going up, and we're so excited.
I think my short answer is no. I would not have expected my art to be displayed in a gallery. I think we talked about depersonalization earlier, but I think as you get older, so from a very young age, I wanted to be a writer, artist, and as you kind of get older, you start to think something more practical. You kind of get pushed more in that direction. I think medical school sort of hyper accelerates that idea of that focusing on career aspirations and things that are more practical. And so I think this project was with low expectations and sort of doing this because it was important to me, important to us, and making this. And then I think when we submitted this, we thought, okay, maybe we'll get this, maybe we won't. But then I think once this is, then now this is a chance for us really to be excited and hopeful. And because this is honestly the first major gallery ever in my entire life. And so it's one of those things that I didn't think it would happen. And I don't even know how to react to it, because as a medical student, this is not necessarily my world. So it's like, this is huge. And to me, it's like a crowning achievement sort of thing. Maybe if this matching in a residency is up here, then maybe the art show is right here. But a really big thing, because it shows that I can successfully sort of navigate both of those worlds.
It's really great. No, it's a huge deal. It's great. It's such an important thing to be proud of, and I just want to say congratulations. It's such an exciting thing, and we're so happy to have you guys' work at the gallery. But that's all the questions we have for you. So thank you so much for joining us. We loved hearing your insight into the show. Don't forget, for more information, to visit our website at uas.osu.edu.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.